The 2020 MLB trade deadline is rapidly approaching. It ends on August 31st. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the prime candidates that should be traded because their teams are either not good or maybe they don't have the best relationship with their teammates. So without further ado, we're not going to waste any time. Let's start this video. This guy makes me feel so much better about being 5'9". Look at that pitch that David Fletcher was just able to hit. If you are going for a World Series, which is obviously not the Angels in 2020, you need to have this guy on your squad. Not only can he rake with an 822 OPS so far in 2020, but he can play defense with the best of them. Third base, shortstop, second base. I think the two teams that should be looking to acquire this kid are one, the Twins, because Polanco is not doing that great, and then Phillies. They have the worst second base stats in all of baseball. Get him. Statistically speaking, Mike Clevinger has been a top 5 pitcher in baseball since 2017. Now, I know a lot of you guys do not want him on your team because you might think that he's a quote-unquote bad person or whatever you want to think. He makes bad decisions. Now, I do think that teams could use his talent. Both teams in New York, the Mets and the Yankees, the Atlanta Braves, as well as the Oakland A's. All of these teams could benefit from a true ace. I think Mike Clevinger, if Shane Bieber was not alive, he would be considered the ace of the Cleveland staff. He was solid in his last start. He is remorseful, and I think that he's ready to go for the season. Rumors have been flying around all day that Texas Rangers ace Lance Lynn will be heading to a couple different teams. The first one that I saw, and I honestly believe because I put them on my list as well, the San Diego Padres. I mean, if you just take a look at the clips in which Lance Lynn is dicing people up like tomatoes, the Padres could use that, the Braves could use that, as well as a sneaky team, the Dodgers. They have a bunch of pieces to send back in return. So if you see the LA Dodgers getting better, it's because they got Lance Lynn. And it's not a surprise. The Dodgers get everyone. Mike Yastrzemski is one of the most underrated players in all of baseball. Everyone thinks that he is just good with the stick. Check out this catch right here. He robs a home run off the bat of Justin Turner. There's one more catch that we're going to show in these highlights that just proves Mike Yastrzemski is an all-around beast, and he gets it from his granddad, Mr. Carl Yastrzemski, the Hall of Famer. There's so many teams in baseball that could use the services of Mike Yastrzemski. I would say the #1 team in all of baseball that could use him is the Cleveland Indians, and the Indians have a bunch of pieces to send back. If you're a Giants fan, I think that you would want Mike Clevinger going into 2021 because he could be your ace right off the rip. So the Indians could definitely use the services of Mike Yastrzemski, and then another team, the White Sox. Their right fielders are dead last in all of baseball in terms of just being productive. So the White Sox, if they got this kid, just watch the heck out. They're steamrolling. Raise your hand right now if you predicted that Dylan Bundy was going to be one of the best starters in Major League Baseball to start 2020. I better see all of your hands down right now, maybe except for you Orioles fans out there that had a lot of confidence in this kid. But when Dylan Bundy was with Baltimore, he had one kind of good season, and then from there it was all downhill. But with a 2.58 ERA and a 1.2 WAR already on the season, so many teams could use the services of Dylan Bundy. I would say that the Braves as well as the Chicago White Sox would be your top 2 teams, and do not count out the Minnesota Twins or the San Diego Padres. Just one more starting pitcher and they could be the real deal. Christian Vazquez has turned into one of the best offensive catchers in all of baseball, and when you're talking about offense, there are a few teams that could really use Vazquez and his services. The San Diego Padres, because what Austin Hedges, is that who we're really going with for the rest of the season if we're trying to make a World Series push? I don't think so. Sure, he might be good defensively, but I think the Padres, the Tampa Bay Rays, and the Minnesota Twins, something about Mitch Garver is not right in 2020. So if any of those 3 teams could snag Vazquez, they instantly get better. But if I'm going with just a hunch, I think the Padres, they go out on a limb, they acquire this guy, which would be unfair because the Padres are already really good. Kyle Seager has been one of the most productive third basemen of the last 5 to 6 seasons, and not a lot of people talk about him in terms of the best players at his position. But so far, to start 2020, he's actually playing really well, and I think that the Braves could really use him. I think Josh Donaldson going to the Twins was a big-time loss for them. I don't think the Braves fans really want to admit that because they're so in love with Austin Riley. I think that Riley is going to be good, but if he could play behind Kyle Seager and really learn how to, hit with runners in scoring position and drive the other way, I think that Riley would become better. Also, the Brewers, they just let go of what's-his-face, Brock Holt, because he wasn't good at all. ESPN still gives the Brewers a 50% chance to make the playoffs as I'm recording this. So if they can add Kyle Seager to give some protection to Keston Hiura and Yelich, I would say that they're rocking. Watch out. So we all know that the Angels are going to be big-time sellers at the 2020 trade deadline. Andrelton Simmons, in my opinion, is going to be one of the next players to go. They've already traded Tom LaStella to the A's. We've talked about how David Fletcher might be on the move as well because they acquired Franklin Barreto in return, who can play a lot of positions. Andrelton Simmons to the Blue Jays makes a lot of sense because Vazquez, so far, he has shown to be a little bit injury prone, so if they can get Simmons as a backup shortstop, maybe he can play third base or second base from time to time, just be a utility man, even though I don't think that Simmons would want to do that. The Blue Jays would be better off with him, as well as the Twins. Again, they're dead last in production as Polanco has not been the same guy. We're going to talk about a few relievers back to back. First and foremost, we have Tony Watson. As you can see, I don't know what year it is in his Major League Baseball career, but he has consistently been one of the best lefties in all of baseball. He can go to the Twins, he can go to the Cubs, he can go to the Cardinals. I would say the Cardinals would be the best bet to snag this guy because Andrew Miller, yes, he's good, but that's when he's healthy. Miller is on the shelf yet again. The Cubs, they don't really have a ton of lefties either, and then we talked about the Twins a lot today. The Twins, they're going to be fine with Josh Donaldson, but they do need bullpen help, but so do the Cubs and so do the Cardinals. So Tony Watson, he's probably going to get dealt. Trevor Rosenthal is finally making his MLB comeback, and it's real. He is on fire. 100-mile-an-hour dart right there to Eddie Rosario made him look silly. He was so bad in 2019 that I honestly thought that teams were going to give up on him, but right there he makes Dylan Carlson look silly. I would say two teams should be your favorites to acquire Rosenthal. Number one, the San Diego Padres, and then number two, the Philadelphia Phillies. Now, the Phillies could be a stretch because they've already acquired Heath Hembree, David Hale, and what was his name? Brandon Workman, so that could be a stretch. So honestly, I would say the Padres, they're best suited to acquire this guy. I almost said kid, but he's no kid. He's been at it for a while. Speaking of players who have been at it for a long time, Johnny Cueto has been in the league for as long as I can remember. On pitch number 107, he just struck out Mike Trout. So anytime that you can do that, you know that there is gas left in the tank. And then striking out Corey Seager, that is not an easy thing to do. He's got the fastball working, he's got the off speed and the curveballs working in 2020, striking out Fernando Tatis Jr. So I think both New York teams could use him as well as the Tampa Bay Rays. Maybe not so much with the Mets, but if the Yankees or Rays got Cueto, instant World Series contenders. Robbie Ray is one of the most disgusting bad pitchers I've ever seen in my entire life. As you just saw right there, he strikes out Charlie Blackmon. It's not easy to do that. The only problem with Robbie Ray is that he's kind of expensive because we all see the ceiling. This guy has unlimited talent. He just can't seem to put it together. He throws hard. He's got a good changeup, but the home run has always been his issue. So if he can get that under control, I would say some teams like the Twins, the A's, and the Astros, they could benefit from his services and get even better if he just decided to, not be sucky. Chad Kuhl has been one of the biggest surprises so far in 2020. So far in about 25 innings, he has 20 strikeouts and a 2.52 ERA. That is really good. The Blue Jays could definitely use him. I wish that they still had Marcus Stroman, but I guess sometimes you can't win at everything. The Mets would also benefit greatly from having one more guy in that rotation. I just don't know if Chad Kuhl is the real deal. I think the biggest example is Tyler Chatwood. He was great, and then he fell off. Alright everyone, well that is going to do it for today's video. I hope that you guys did enjoy. If you are a fan of the Padres, the A's, the Astros, or even the Braves, the Yankees, the Mets, a lot of teams are going to be buyers at the deadline. I expect the Indians to be as well. You guys know that's my favorite squad. But thank you all so much for watching. Stay safe out there, and I hope that your team gets all the pieces that they need, because if they do, 2020 is going to be even more fun.